YouTube, what's going on? It's Juan Gotti here with yet another Washington football team video, and in today's video, we're here to preview Week 11 versus the Cincinnati Bengals. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. But before we do, make sure you guys go down below, leave a like on this video, subscribe if you're new, and turn on post notifications so you get notified when I upload a video about the NFL, in this case, our Washington football team. Let's get straight into today's video. Roll the intro, baby. We are Washington. Let's get it. So we have the number 2 overall draft pick, our guy Chase Young, versus the number 1 overall draft pick, Joe Burrow. Now it's been an interesting week because Ron Rivera actually spoke with Cincinnati's media team this week, and they were basically asking him, if the Cincinnati Bengals were to select Chase Young, would we have selected Joe Burrow? And quite frankly, honestly, he said what you should have expected him to say, which was yes. I mean, let's just be honest here. Joe Burrow, if he was available at 2, I would have took him too. You know what I'm saying? Cincinnati took our guy off the board that we wanted or we thought we were going to have. So why not take Joe Burrow? But I digress, because that, obviously, hindsight 2020, we can't go back in time to change that. Now, let's get ready to talk about this game. Now, this has been a strange week for the Washington football team. Why? Because at the beginning of the week, a player for the Washington football team have actually tested positive for COVID-19, that being Matthew Ioannidis. And with this whole week being that, it was a little odd because the team didn't practice in pads at all this week. They I guess weren't at the facility that long or something like that. It was just a strange week for the guys, and that could be, I guess, 50-50, a good reason and a bad reason. You know what I'm saying? A good reason, I guess, would be to, they should be 100% going into the game versus Cincinnati, and the bad side is that we weren't able to really practice normal how we normally practice preparing for a game, and that really could be a big reason why we might actually lose this game. And in my opinion, that's going to be a reason that possibly could affect the outcome of this game too. So I'm going to take that into account for when I make my prediction. So let's get actually into this game. Now, let's talk a little bit about Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, man, he has been everything, hyped up about, everything that he was supposed to be about, man. Joe Burrow is a special talent, man. He's one of a kind, and he's really good. He's really good. He's like a Carson Wentz. And what I mean by Carson Wentz, he's a guy that always tries to make the best out of every play. Now, that could be good in a way, and that could also be bad, because just like Carson Wentz, he makes amazing plays at sometimes, but other times he tries to be a hero, and he tries to make a play that you could have just either threw it away or, maybe even in some cases take the sack instead of forcing it into double coverage and stuff like that. So that's what I'm saying. He's the type of player that you want on your team, but at the same time you're like, hey, can't make that kind of play. That's what I call hero ball, and that's the reason why Carson Wentz is somewhat in the hole that he is. It's not the full reason, but that's partially the reason. That has a role in what's going on in Philly. Now, this video isn't about Philly, but that's just the comparison I want to make here. Now, Joe Burrow, the guy is fantastic. And if it wasn't for his offensive line, I believe that the Cincinnati Bengals would have probably be at least 5 and maybe 7 right now. No. Somewhere, I would at least say they probably have somewhere between 5 to 4 wins, maybe. I don't know, but I feel as though this team is way better than 2-6-1. I mean, if you go early in the season, they tied with the Philadelphia Eagles actually. And quite frankly, they had some close games. I believe the Indianapolis Colts game was a nail-biter. I believe, what other games did they play? I can't think off the top of my head the other games that they played, but most of their games have been, nail-biters and one-possession games. And if things would have went other ways for that one play, they could have very well won that game. This is a team that actually beat the Tennessee Titans, which some call the upset of the season. So this team is really good, man, and it's on the cusp. Zach Taylor is another young offensive-minded head coach, and I really believe that if this defense doesn't come out playing how we need them to play, then they could really, run it up on us, man. This offense is capable enough to drop 30 to 40 points maybe per game, you know what I'm saying? Or if not per game every other game. I mean, they have the ability to do that, and it's our job to limit that. I mean, they have Giovanni Bernard, who's been filling in well for Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon is questionable at the moment, but we're going to get into that a little bit later. They have T. Higgins, who's actually been phenomenal, a rookie wide receiver. They have A.J. Green, of course, and they also have Tyler Boyd. So they have some weapons on the offensive side of the ball for Joe Burrow. Now, all they need is an offensive line, and this offense would be set. Now, they have a guy by the name of Jonah Williams, who I believe is going to play this week, but he's been injured ever since he stepped into the league and ever since he got drafted last year by the Cincinnati Bengals. Jonah Williams have not been able to play to his full ability. So, for our sake, I hope he doesn't play, but for their near future, since we see them every 4 years, I hope the Cincinnati Bengals get healthy and actually become a good team, because if not, you're wasting Joe Burrow's career, honestly. And that it doesn't seem like that's going to happen, because, I mean, they have a good offense. Now, I can't really say so much for the defensive side. Honestly, I don't know too much about their defense besides that they traded away Carlos Dunlap. They have William Jackson III. I don't think they have Drake Kirkpatrick. No, I don't think they have Drake Kirkpatrick anymore. I don't really know anybody on their defense besides Geno Atkins, Carlos Dunlap, who they just traded away, William Jackson III. And I believe they have a linebacker. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's really good. But that should just tell you how bad this defense is. The defense is really not that good. You know what I'm saying? They have been, let's just say, horrible. But we can't really use that as an example or a reason, because last week the Detroit Lions, their defense was horrible. And not to say that they shut us out, but they were supposed to have one of the worst run defenses in the league, and we weren't able to establish the run. Yes, Antonio Gibson had 2 touchdowns, but he wasn't really killing them on the ground. So we can't really take that into effect. We don't have the kind of offense to really say, to look at analytics. You just have to play the game, I guess you would put it that way. Now, with covering their offense and defense, let's just get into these keys to victory versus the Cincinnati Bengals. So, one, you got to get after Joe Burrow. It's no excuse that Chase Young, Montez Sweat, even Ryan Kerrigan, even the interior guys like Tim Settle, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen, it's no reason why we shouldn't be getting pressure on Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow he got sacked 32 times this year, so it is no reason why we shouldn't have, any sacks or even more than one. We only had 1 sack versus the Detroit Lions, and quite frankly, since the bye week, since the Dallas Cowboys game, this defensive line has been absent. Really, it has been absent. These sacks that we've got over these past week, which have been basically one, have been caused by safety blitzes, Cameron Curl. So it's just like, where's the defensive line? And there's no excuse why we couldn't get after the Cincinnati Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow this week, because their offensive line is pretty bad and banged up. So we need to get after Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow, like I said, is a guy that's a good quarterback, but he also that heart and that trying to make every play count somewhat gets in his way. Also, it can be a good thing and it also can be a bad thing, because like I said earlier in the video, just like Carson Wentz, he tries to force plays that aren't there, and he could have just either took the sack and lived to fight another day, or just throw the ball away and live to fight another day. But instead, you're putting your defense back on the field after throwing an interception. So we have to get after Joe Burrow and force him to make plays like that every time he get out there on the field. Now, I'm not saying every time he get out there he's going to make plays like that, but you have to at least put him in that circumstance. Next thing on my list is for the defense also. Stop the run. I mean, it's very... I'm sorry that I sound like a broken record, guys, but it seems like it's the same keys to victory every single week, because basically for relatively, it is the same, honestly. It really is, and we need to stop the run. We don't stop the run, we're not going to win this ball game, because then that allows them to open up their whole playbook. And if we have Joe Burrow throwing the ball every play of the game, I know that seems like it's bad, but at the same time, it's really not, because he can carve up a defense. And like we seen Matthew Stafford do last week and somewhat of Daniel Jones the previous week, he carved us up. So we have to stop that run game. Now, I know Joe Mixon is questionable at the moment, but they still have a good backup in Giovanni Bernard, and some teams he could be a starter. So we have to stop the run, and if we stop the run, then that means we can pin our ears back on 3rd and longs and get after Joseph Burrow. Now, they have a good old friend of ours in Samaje Perine, and Washington doesn't do a good job of former Washington football team members / Redskin members. One being Alfred Morris is the most recent. And now we have some RJ Piron coming to town. So stop the run, man. Honestly, if you stop the run and get after Joe Burrow, it could be a long day for Cincinnati. Now, third and final defensive, I guess key would be to limit the pass attack, because let's just say Washington doesn't do a good job, which I'm expecting. Let's just say Washington doesn't do a good job of, shutting down the run. Let's just say they let the run get into a groove. Then you know what's coming is play action passes or passes out of the gun. Try to limit their air attack. That's basically what I was trying to say, is just try to limit their air attack, because you're not going to stop it. I mean, I know we have the, top passing defense in the league, but let's just be honest. I'm not expecting us to, really shut their passing attack down. Now, I'm not expecting them to have an explosion, which I wouldn't be surprised if they do, but I'm not expecting it. So, with that being said, is try to limit their passing attack. Try to limit Joe Burrow from having time in the pocket, and for him to find guys like T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, and AJ Green. Now, AJ Green has been, washed up. That's why I struggle to say that word, because I don't want to call him washed up. Because if he could stay healthy, he could really be a quality wide receiver. But for some part of this year, or for most of the year, he's been healthy, but he just hasn't been an AJ Green of old. So maybe it is time to say he's washed up, but I'm gonna use that word lightly. So let's try to limit T. Higgins from going off, AJ Green, and Tyler Boyd, and we should be in good shape. Now, those are my three for the defense. Now, let's get to the offense. The offense side of the ball is going to be the same thing as every week. Can we please establish the run? Now, Scott Turner. Let's talk about Scott Turner for a while. For a minute, I should say. This guy does not run the ball. And that's totally fine with me. If your passing attack, or if your game plan is to pass on every single down, I know that's probably not a smart game plan, but if that's your plan, do it, man. Don't waste downs running the ball if you really don't want to establish this run game. You know what I'm saying? So just pass it on every play if you have to. That's short passes, deep passes, screens and stuff like that. One thing I can say, ever since Kyle Allen / Alex Smith been in, we've, ran less and less wide receiver screens. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't want to really establish the run, which that's my first key, is to establish the run. But if you don't want to, don't waste your time doing it. So my first key on the list, though, is going to be to establish the run. And that's really much, self-explanatory. The Washington football team hasn't been able to establish the run for the past couple weeks. Let's get Antonio Gibson, balling, man. Yeah, he had 2 touchdowns last week, but we got to do a better job of having that per carry. He didn't really dominate on the ground. He just had short touchdown runs that came from within the goal line. Next key on my list, to make it short, sweet, and simple, is to protect Alex Smith. Alex Smith, he really didn't take a beating last week. Yeah, he got hit on, a lot of plays, but that was, broken up. It wasn't consecutive plays. But he did get hit quite a few times last week versus Cincinnati. And they don't really have Detroit. And they didn't really have a great pass rush. And also Cincinnati does either, or they don't either have a good pass rush. So can we please protect Alex Smith? Because let's just be real, guys. This offensive line, tackle-wise, is in shambles. The left tackle, Cornelius Lucas, is out. Jerron Christian, as we know, is on IR. So they're going to move, most likely, Morgan Moses to left tackle and David Sharp to right tackle. And David Sharp was, really not that good. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see some Keith Ismail, because, he's a versatile lineman that could really play all positions on the offensive line. I wouldn't be surprised if he's activated and we might see him, because David Sharp hasn't been the greatest. Now, it was only his first game. Now, maybe he'll be better this week, because he's had all week of practice to, get comfortable at the right tackle. That's just my assumption. All we know is David Sharp could play left tackle and Morgan Moses could be at home in his right position, but we don't know. That's just my, assumption. And maybe David Sharp could be something solid in the being of Cornelius Lucas's absence, and also Jerron Christian's. Now, this game is really important, because this is really all. I mean, it's been end all be all for me since we lost to the Giants, but this week is really the end all be all for our slim playoff chances. So we really have to take care of business. The last thing on my list is to feed your boy Terry McLaurin. Terry McLaurin is really the best player on that field. They don't have anyone that I believe that can stick him. Their best corner, I believe, is William Jackson III. Who is that guy? So give Terry McLaurin the ball, let him feast, and that's on short routes, long routes, and also get Logan Thomas involved too. That is actually my last key. Get Logan Thomas involved more because he had a good game versus Detroit. And honestly, I looked at the stats earlier. Cincinnati is at the top of the league of allowing tight ends to have the most passing yards against them. So get Logan Thomas involved even more. Yeah, I know his hands have been questionable, but he did come up big versus Detroit. You know what I'm saying? So get Logan Thomas more involved, and we should really have a successful day versus Cincinnati. So I'm sorry that I let this video get a little too long. That's my bad. But as always, man, it's been your boy Juan Gotti. Like, comment, subscribe, help to watch the football team. Put your predictions down below. I'm not going to actually, I said I was going to put a prediction at the beginning of the video, but actually I'm not, because I feel like every time I put a prediction, we jinx them. So I'll leave that up to you guys. Like, comment, subscribe, help to watch the football team. See you guys Sunday. As always, I'll be streaming every game as I do every week. Now, I do have a baseball game on Sunday that morning, so hopefully it's over by the time. But if not, I will still be streaming, but I might be 2 minutes late. We'll see though. But always tune into my stream, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, help to watch the football team. I'm out. Peace. See you Sunday.